Alright folks, I'm out here. It's Sunday morning. I just caught bait for the shop and I decided to go do a little bit fishing inside the bay. We went offshore yesterday, didn't get really a chance to film, but we caught a lot of fish, caught a lot of porgies, caught some hogfish, caught some grouper, some mangrove snapper, of course the typical stuff, but you know, we're seeing a lot of that. So I just wanted to get out in the bay really quick, fish a couple spots, see if the fish are there, and kind of go over exactly what I'm looking for. I haven't done this in a while, so we're gonna go out there, head out there, and show you what we're looking at and how we approach it and how we fish it. All right folks, we got set up on the spot. I had to make one small adjustment. It's a small red grouper, but literally I had to pull the trolling motor 10 feet forward. I wasn't getting anything, and then all of a sudden, bam. As soon as I pulled 10 feet forward from 24 to 30 feet, it was like instant. Now that fish was caught on cut bait, so I'm going to try live bait and see if there's any difference. But my last trip inside the bay with the veterans, which you saw in the last video, the bite was absolutely on fire. It was crazy how fast, especially during that major feeding time. I think it was the major. Yeah, it was the major. It was incredible. So, as I always talk about, the major and the minors is key. Yesterday, we fished offshore, and in the major feeding time was really, really good also. The minor feeding time was a little off, but the major feeding time was pretty good. Ooh, there he is. Just like that, folks. I'm using a 3/8 ounce Huggy because the tide is pretty light right now, and that's a gag. So now I know that they're eating both live and cut bait. That one didn't even get to the bottom. He ate it so quick. What I'm doing right now is just hooking them right in the nostrils. There's a clear part in the nostril that I'm hooking in. We have a lot of people that watch our videos that have just moved here or haven't really saltwater fished before. So if you guys hear me repeat some stuff, that's exactly why, because we get so many new subscribers and so many of the same questions over and over again. So if I'm repeating myself, I apologize, but I want to make sure that I cover as many bases as I possibly can. Like right now, I'm using my 8-foot red bone with 10-pound braid and 20-pound leader with a 3/8 ounce Huggy, which allows it to kind of slowly go down. The tide's not moving very much at all. So this allows me to get it down. It's not very deep. We're only in 31 feet. So, you know, just get it down there. And it's close to the bottom now. Yep, he's already on there. I think it's another small grouper. Yep, small red. Tiny. But I guarantee that there's bigger fish down there. We're actually still about a little ways away. I probably won't hit the major feeding time today, but just for giggles, I'm going to try this dead bait and see if they'll eat it. A lot of times, once they hit a bait and they mark it, they won't eat it again. It's the weirdest thing. I was telling somebody that the other day when we were fishing with the veterans, and they were like, that is so wild. I said, it takes one little scale to come off and they won't eat it. It's just the weirdest thing, and it happens more often than it does not happen. So if you're out there fishing and you get bit and then all of a sudden you bring up your bait and you still have bait, I would probably change out the bait. But when they're on fire, it really doesn't matter. But typically if they hit that bait, they're not going to come back and hit it again. It's the strangest thing. And it's probably going to mark. No, he's on it. He ate it. They're on fire right now. That's a little better fish. A little bit better red grouper, but not by much. But this is good to see that these fish, there's a lot of these fish in here like this size, but that's a good sign. I guarantee if I had some bigger baits, I would probably get into them a little bit better, but it's fun. You're catching fish, right? I'm trying to get snapper. I'm fishing a spot that we used to fish quite a bit back in the day, and it's called a bad name, so I can't really say it, but it's a spot that Chad and I were fishing one day, and the structure was unbelievable, and we were sitting here and we weren't catching anything, and then all of a sudden I think it was the major feeding time switched on, and we couldn't stop these fish. It was just one right after the other, and kept getting broken off. And then we caught some keeper red grouper, caught some big gags, caught some snapper. So the fish are definitely in this spot. Oh, missed him. Pulled it right out of his mouth. Let's see, the tide's picking up just barely, which is okay. But once it starts picking up quite a bit, I'm going to have to probably up my jig size, because once it starts picking up, I want to get to the bottom quicker, and if I get out of the strike zone, then they're not going to eat it. See, they may not eat this bait because they marked it. I'm telling you, it's the strangest thing. Yep. He has got no eyeball. That's all it takes, folks. Literally, that's all it takes. God, see? I'm telling you. It's I don't know why it's like that, but it is. It's the weirdest thing is, if that bait is marked, they're not going to eat it. So, again, change your bait if you get hit. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the machine, and let me show you exactly what I'm looking at. Alright folks, I wanted to show you exactly what I'm looking at here. So as you can see, I'm right on the ledge of the channel, the edge of the channel, and you can see here, you can see that we're sitting right on the edge. The boat has shifted just a little bit to where the tide is now starting to come in, so the boat shifted just a little bit and the bite kind of shut down on me. So I'm going to make a little bit of a move because I'm looking for snapper. And this spot's more known for grouper, so I'm going to go look for some snapper. I'm going to utilize both the Navionics and the fish reveal. The fish reveal is going to show me some of these rock piles that I'm going to go and fish, and in a lot of detail compared to the Navionics. So we're going to move spots. See, as you saw what we just did there, getting set up on that spot right. As you can see here, I was set up on top of the ledge where my marks were, but I wasn't getting any bites, so I moved off to the deeper part of the ledge, and that's where I got my bites. And it literally was about 27 feet is what I moved. So let's go find some snapper. This is a brand new spot for me in the bay. Some pretty good rocks. This could be close to the keeper red grouper. Yeah, he's a little short, but I love finding new spots inside the bay. So what we have here is, you can see on the fish reveal, you can see a bunch of rocks right in here. You don't see it on the Navionics, but you see a bunch of rocks right there. And you can see them on the side imaging here. When I pulled up, there's fish in the column, so I'm going to get back to it. So I had to move to a 3/4 because the tide picked up, so I moved to a 3/4 and got it down there. You want to try to use as light as possible jig or weight as possible, simply because you want to have that bait presented as naturally as you possibly can. And so the 3/4 right now is doing it, but the tide has picked up quite a bit in the last like 10 minutes. So I'm probably going to have to go to a 1 ounce here very, very shortly, which is fine. But at least it will allow me to present it. Now that fish was caught on a cut bait. We're going to try a live bait and see what happens. But they're thumping it now. think I just pulled it out of his hand, or out of his mouth. They're grabbing it with their fins. So a lot of times what we'll do is we'll kind of bounce it along the bottom. I'm kind of up from the structure. I probably will move up even more to the very beginning of the rocks. I kind of got into the middle, and I should have kind of went up more and let the bait back towards the rocks because the tide is picked up. You always want to remember that. I'm probably positioned a little in the wrong right now, and I'm going to probably make an adjustment for that, but I'm just feeling it out for right now. See what happens. Okay, so you can see I'm sitting right in the middle of it, so I'm going to take the trolling motor and I'm going to bump it 3 times, so that will give me about 15 feet. 1, 2, 3. Then I'm going to go probably to the right. I'm going to see where I adjust, but using this, the power pole move, and being able to precisely jog yourself where you need to go is really good. I may need to go even farther, simply because, as you can see here, I'm not going very far, but I may just do it with the motor itself to get up into this section here, like starting right in here. So I'm going to actually bump it twice to the right. You can see where there's some structure right here, and you can definitely see that there's bait and stuff on the bottom. There's fish or snapper. Now remember how I always talk about you want to be on the upside of the ledge looking down into the channel itself. So there's the channel, we're up on the shallow part and we're looking down the ledge. So like this right here has some individual rocks right on it, so I'll go back and probably take a look at that since I don't have that one marked. See, there's some more coming up here, but the darker you see here, and you can actually see fish on that one right there, is the more of there's a ledge there. There's a fish right there on the side imaging. Oops. So I'm seeing a bunch of ledges that I've never marked here before. So I'll probably come back and fish those and see what happens. That tide has picked up quite a bit. As I always talk about, when I'm fishing inside the bay, the faster the tide, the more those fish will hug the bottom and not eat very well. So you practically have to hit them in the face to get them to eat. When I was catching those fish earlier, we were right on that tide change, and it was perfect timing for me to get out here and get on those fish. So I'm marking a bunch of stuff right in here. Not marking, but I'm gonna mark this and then I'm gonna fish it because there's fish right there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna line the boat up and get it right on the edge of the ledge and see if we can't start catching fish. So I'm gonna hit the trolling motor, see what happens. We should position about like this, so the boat will be like the back of the boat should be right on the edge of the ledge. As you can see here, there's fish coming up, so it's almost setting up perfect. So I'm right on the edge of the ledge. I'm 33 feet, 34 feet, so I might even bump myself up just a little bit, but I'll probably stay here just to see what happens. Folks, now that I'm set up on this edge of this ledge, I'm able to bounce this bait down the ledge, and sure enough, I'm getting grouper. I'm not getting a snapper. I don't know if the grouper are beating the snapper to the bait or what, but there's definitely snapper down there because I can feel them hitting the bait, but the grouper are getting to it. The snapper just are not committing to eating the bait. But I'm bouncing it just down. I'm almost even with the way this ledge runs, so I can bounce it right down the ledge and keep it in the strike zone longer. So I'm sitting in 33 feet of water, 33.9, and I'm right on as it drops. So I'm able to bounce it through. Oh, son of a biscuit eater. And let it go right down the ledge line. Just drop it down like that. And like I said, the tide's going like this, so it's actually perfect because it's going right down that ledge. When you're fishing the bay and the main shipping channel, as you'll know, the shipping channel crisscrosses like this. So different parts of the channel, the tide runs differently through it, so you kind of have to learn that. And I tell people all the time, 90% of my spots in the bay go away when I don't have my trolling motor, because you can't anchor up on them. But there are spots that you can literally anchor, put the anchor on the outside of the channel and put your boat into the channel itself, so when a ship comes through, you can actually take your boat and go around the anchor line and clear the channel, let the boat go by, and then just let the boat swing back on the anchor, and you come right back into the position again. So there are ways of doing it. You can anchor outside the channel, and then the boat will be inside the channel, and then when a ship comes through, you just kind of go around the edge of your anchor line and get into the shallower water, let the boat pass, and then you can get set up again. So the 3/4 is still allowing me to get to the bottom, so I'm still able to utilize the 3/4. And then like I said, I bounce it. It's different fishing in here than it is offshore. We don't like to bounce our baits. We like to keep them right on the bottom, especially for fishing for hogfish and that. But here we like to bounce them off to let them go with the tide and find the strike zone. Sometimes you got to let it back a little bit of ways, but if you get on top of the structure when the tide's moving like this, it won't allow you to get to the bait to where the fish are. It will actually pull the boat or pull the bait away from the structure. So you want to make sure that you're up tight of the structure. And in this case, I'm up tight of the. Ooh, there was a hit. God bless it. He didn't take it. There's a. I'm up tight of the ledge, so I'm going right down the ledge perfectly. I think he may have gotten my bait. Yep, he did. One little thump, and that kind of felt like a snappy. Let me get into some underwater footage and show you what a particular spot looks like when you have rocks right on the edge of the ledge, and you'll be able to see where the water drops off, but you'll see where the rocks are on the ledge. And that's a prime example of being able to fish a ledge and seeing what the structure looks like down there. This guy hammered. God bless America. So let's go to that underwater footage so you can really see kind of what some different areas look like when you're on the edge of the ledges, and you can kind of get a good feel of what we're looking at on the bottom. I had to make adjustment, went down a little bit further. I was getting hits, but they were small, so I made an adjustment. It's not bigger, but more aggressive. But hopefully you got an understanding of what I'm looking at when I'm seeing it on my sonar compared to what it looks like underwater. So it just gives you kind of a feel of how it's set up and how you should set up your boat. There's a lot of areas just like that throughout this entire bay. There's a lot of fish in this bay. So the bite has been really good as of late, and I think it's only going to get better. You just got to concentrate and use different baits until you find out what they're keyed in on. Today they've been been hitting both live bait and cut bait, so it really hasn't mattered. The lighter the weight you can go, the better the opportunity is to present that bait more naturally. So remember that. Always try to use as light as jig as possible, or light as weight as possible, to get that bait to the bottom, but to let it be as natural as possible.